All right, Rick Bozich, Eric Crawford from WDRB. We're going to react real quick to the University of Kentucky's season opening win over Miami. It didn't start great. Miami marched it right down the field and scored, but Kentucky did a lot of nice things in this game. Your general observations, Rick?
Yeah, definitely more good than bad. Will Levis was solid, threw for over 300 yards, which is good. 3 touchdown passes, spread the ball out to 9 different receivers. The special teams play was terrific. They returned a kickoff for 100 yards. They blocked a punt. Matt Ruffalo made every field goal that he tried, including one from 50 yards. And as you mentioned, after that first touchdown they gave up on Miami's first drive, that was the only touchdown the Red Hawks had the entire game, Eric.
Yeah, I thought special teams like you were a standout. Not only the big 100-yard return, but J.J. Weaver gets a part of a punt and blocks it, changes the field. And one of the questions we had about Kentucky coming in was, do they have any big play type of guys? They showed some guys tonight who can make big plays. They had some breakdowns in little areas here and there, but they had guys that made big plays. They created turnovers. They were pretty opportunistic, and all that bodes well for them.
Yeah, I mean, we focused a lot on Wan'Dale Robinson not being there anymore. Well, there's a new Robinson, Mr. Robinson, Tavion Robinson, a transfer from Virginia Tech. He had 6 catches for 136 yards. He had a 25-yard punt return. He showed some speed and the ability to be elusive in the open field. But what I mentioned earlier is I like the fact that Levis, 9 different guys caught balls. I mean, he was throwing to receivers, wide receivers, slot receivers, tight ends. 3 different guys had touchdown passes. So last year seemed to be very, very heavy emphasis on 2 guys, Josh Ali and Wan'Dale Robinson. Not the case this year.
Yeah, you're right. A new Mr. Robinson, and very basically served notice from the very first play. He goes 48 yards in a big Kentucky play and a big answer to that Miami long drive. Kentucky came back and struck quick. Robinson appears to be a guy that can deliver those kind of plays. He's a very similar kind of build. He's a shorter receiver, but he's a guy who's played a lot of receiver at Virginia Tech, and he came in and really made a big statement for them, I thought, and their offense. You mentioned Will Levis. I thought he was good. He stayed away pretty much from the turnovers, except for he had kind of a bad interception down on the goal line in one stretch. But Levis still finishes the game pretty efficient, passes for 383 yards, does a nice job altogether. And that's basically what he's got to do, is just run the game and spread the ball out.
Yeah, I mean, he also shows leadership. I mean, when a couple times when guys didn't do their assignments, he wasn't hesitant to get after them. Offensive linemen, receivers, or whatever. The one thing he does that I don't like, and it's, I don't want it to come across as too strange of a criticism. He's so competitive that sometimes he tries to take on too many guys. There was one play near the goal line when he kind of tries to hurdle somebody. And my concern is, he's going to get hurt in doing that kind of stuff. And I know you can't tone down a guy's competitive streak too much, but at some point you have to have a little bit of sensibility and restraint and say, what is the risk and reward here?
Yeah, that's right. I kind of watched that same play down the goal line as the play right before the interception, I think. And I'm thinking, that could be your whole season right there on that play against Miami of Ohio. So fortunately it wasn't. He does like to get ahead of steam, and he's an emotional player, and all that is good. You like that, but you don't always want to see him put himself at risk too much. What did you think of Mark Stoops' reaction after the game? Did you get to hear much of him? And I thought he was interesting, just kind of talking about they won the game, but he didn't see as much of an edge as he wanted to see maybe starting the game.
I think he's already coaching towards next week because he knows they're going down to the Swamp. He might have already known that Florida took out number 7 Utah, scored a touchdown in the last 2 minutes, and they intercepted a Utah pass in the end zone in the last 20 seconds to win the game. Florida will be ranked now when the Wildcats go down there next Saturday. And he knows, even though they've beaten Florida a couple times under Stoops, that it's a big game. Georgia obviously was tremendous today in just obliterating Oregon, but really Florida's victory over Utah is the most impressive victory of the weekend, in my opinion. And Anthony Richardson is a good-looking quarterback, so I think he's trying to get his guys to forget about Miami as quickly as possible and get ready for the task at hand, because if they win that game, they got a great chance to be 4-0 going to Ole Miss.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a crucial game for Kentucky. It's a statement game. It's tougher because it's on the road, and it's now against a Florida team they're going to be nationally ranked. Probably they beat a top 10 ranked Utah team. So there's going to be a lot of expectation on them, and they're going to expect to come in and make something good to happen against Kentucky. But I thought this was a solid opener, frankly, probably better than most Kentucky openers we've seen. Kentucky has a tendency to open flat, and I think it's fair to say they did open flat in the first half of this game, but they got it going, took care of business. They weren't in any kind of discomfort going down the stretch. And we'll just have to kind of watch now the situation with Chris Rodriguez and these other guys and see if anything happens there. But even if not, we did mention the one thing Kentucky was missing was a little bit of a running game, and that's something they're going to need at Florida.
Yeah, I think it was 26 carries for 50 yards. Really, I'm looking right now at the longest gain of 9 yards was their longest run. Cavassier Smoke 7 for 32. That's not going to work against really good teams because they're going to be able to tighten up in your passing game. And in addition to that, Will Levis took a couple of sacks. So the offensive line probably needs to get a little bit better, but it's early. They got some new guys they're breaking in there. So that's an area where there is a chance for growth. And obviously Chris Rodriguez will be back at some point. We just don't know if he'll be back for the Florida game.
Yeah, that's it. You can read more. We've got more coverage at WDRB.com. Just wanted to get in here right away in the post game and talk about a few first impressions, Rick. We'll have a column up at WDRB.com. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be after games, a lot of games this season, maybe not all, but as many as we can. Catch you tomorrow, Rick, after the next game.
All right. Thanks, Eric.